Hey, everybody. How are you? I never let it get to zero. Never let it get to zero. You know it's too late. It's like, do I cut the green wire or the red wire? It's like, that's just my mentality. I'm not letting it get to zero. There's always hope in the movies that the bomb's not going to go off. That's why it never goes to zero.
Oh, man. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Crypto Night in Canada. Dun, 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 dun. Tonight, we've got some special folks with us. Again, to our whatever side that is. Ryan from the HiRye channel. Below us, we got Ken, TheGreatWhiteVaper, and our lovely friend Len from the Great Canadian Bitcoiners.
No, honey, that's the bagel. It's the
I know.
Canadian
I love the
Bitcoiners.
Great Canadian Bitcoiners.
Canadian
I will always call them the Great Canadian Bitcoiners.
Len and Joy have a YouTube channel, the Canadian Bitcoiners, and man, do they ever have some really, really good stuff there. So, and it's all Bitcoin. It's all Bitcoin. So for the first part of this evening, we are Bitcoin centered on what we're going to chat about, and because I think it's worth the chat, and we have one of the experts in the house with Len.
Yay! And I just wanted to say a quick hi to everybody in the comment section. Candace is in the house. Sean's here tonight. Jenster is here. Jason Spooner. I got my second vaccine today too, so I'm feeling like you. I'm not telling you because then you'll punch me. Eric's in the house. Owen. Hey, Owen. Dan. I think I saw Journey's here. So welcome everybody. We're so excited to have you all here tonight. And as Tim said, first, Chris Brophy's here. Let's have some fun. So let's jump right on in because there's been a lot of news in the Bitcoin world. And mainly, I thought maybe we would start with the news article today. You were telling me somebody committed suicide. Anthony.
No.
I'm sorry, I had my shot today. I'm a little bit out of it.
Where did you have the shot?
Yeah. Stop it.
John McAfee.
John
McAfee. Was it Spain or Brazil? He was found dead in his jail cell.
Spain.
Yeah. And so that's cryptocurrency advocate and person who liked to challenge the taxes and the tax laws and
to say the least.
I guess something caught up with them, and that's too bad. It's regardless of what you're into, I mean, it's really not worth taking a life. However,
so okay, here's the question: do we think it's a conspiracy, or do we think he actually took his life? Len.
I'm in the conspiracy camp. I because earlier today he did tweet. I think it was earlier today that if his life ended, it was not going to be from his own doing. So it seems rather suspicious that tweet came out shortly before.
Also seems like the personality type to just throw a wrench in right before the end, maybe. But I don't know. He's a pretty wild guy on his social media.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be missed. Very entertaining individual. But, we'll do this show in his honor, I guess.
Of course. Didn't Pomp go down and do an interview with him?
Yes, he did. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that wasn't too long ago on his boat, right? Like they were, fishing and shooting guns on his boat, and it was down the Bahamas or Barbados or something like that.
It was,
right?
yeah. And I was going to say that the photos, one of them had a gun with them, like AK-47 or something.
Yeah.
So John was a very interesting guy.
Yeah, he was. But I think it was Epstein. But
Yeah. Well, cheesy Josie. Okay, so we're already having some funny comments. Len's going to make everyone maxis today.
Clean on the Bitcoin.
And
my goal is to convert everyone into Bitcoin by today.
There you go.
If I don't do that,
There you go.
He's going to just say, well, that's it.
Listen, I've been trying forever and nobody listens to me anymore. So there you go. I did want to talk about, hey, Nelson, welcome. I wanted to talk about China. And I was watching Digital Asset News, and Rob was speaking with Alex Mascioli, and I love their point of view on this. So I wanted to get you the take of the panel here today. So, everybody was all freaking out because China banned all the miners and da-da-da-da. First of all, that's not old news. That's been going on for a long time. And second of all, I don't know why everybody is really surprised by this. China doesn't really like anything they can't completely control, and they can't control Bitcoin. And my feeling is that they're going to come out with their own digital currency. And I think it's going to be a race to see who has the world reserve currency, truthfully. So I wanted to lob that out. I've got some more opinions. I wrote it all down, but I thought before I give you more of my opinions, let's talk about that. So good news. Do you feel that this is good for Bitcoin or bad for Bitcoin? The China situation.
Short term, bad. Long term is going to be fantastic. Obviously, you see what happened short term. The price, it tanked. The hash rate, it plummeted 30 to 40% from the all time high, but it will recover because all those miners, the mining equipment, is being moved offsite, offshores. Kazakhstan's getting a whole bunch. United States is getting a whack load of that. So there's going to be some miners that are going to be set up outside China. So the narrative all this time was Bitcoin's been bad. Why? Because China mines it. China uses coal, and that's truthful. Like there's a lot of coal energy being used to power the miners. Well, that's no longer the case. And so the narrative of China being, in Bitcoin bad, China mining it, well, you know what? It's no longer in play. So someone else is now going to be mining it. It's going to be probably in, a lot of it's going to be done in North America, which is fantastic because it's going to be opening up shop here. A lot of jobs are going to be created as a result. As for the digital yuan, the CBDC issued by China, it's kind of in a role that's been done for some time. There was some pilot project done earlier this year, so they're totally on board with doing that. And any sort of competition against the CBDC from China, they're going to try to axe it, and they have. They're getting rid of Bitcoin from China, so that's great. Let's get rid of it. Let's now have a currency that is, a digital currency in China, that's theirs, and the rest of the world we could use Bitcoin. El Salvador has already adopted it, soon to be Paraguay. United States looks like they're going to kind of come on board because right now you have the Republican Party. They're taking Bitcoin as donations. Well, if it's not the Republicans, it's going to be Democrats in power. So Democrats are in power now. Maybe in a few years we'll have the Republicans in power, and if they're pro-Bitcoin, that's a fantastic win for Bitcoiners all around the world. It's going to be long term. We're going to win. It's great news all around. And China, they're going to do whatever they can to make the digital yuan their currency and a strong currency. It's going to be a battle between Bitcoin and that.
Yeah.
So, Len, do you think that the closest that maybe the Canadian and the U.S. government will ever get to having any hope of controlling or centralizing Bitcoin is ETFs?
Perhaps. And then one thing about the ETFs, though, the SECs, they're dragging their feet on approving them. That's kind of concerning in one aspect. Why are they doing that? Does anybody have any reason? Go ahead. I'm curious to hear what somebody else thinks. Why?
Okay. Well, I will give my opinion, but Ken or Ryan, do you want to weigh in on either of this?
Well, Len I'm pretty sure it was Len, made a comment on a video or on our last live stream when we were talking about the SEC delay and how it's ridiculous. The only explanation that they're giving is more consultation, yada, yada, yada. It's their second delay, now pushes them off if they really extend it almost to a year. You know what? I can't figure out what's logical about pushing it off for a year, but I also can't figure out what they are doing to necessarily set the field up. I don't know how they're setting the field up. I'm kind of lost on it right now. So that's where I'm at. I don't understand why it's being delayed. And it's like, because Americans can still buy through our Canadian Toronto Stock Exchange. So I'm not really understanding the disconnect. So, but anyway, that's me. I'm kind of in a state of confusion with it right now.
I just want to throw a curveball in this whole argument here. Also in NASDAQ Dubai, they've just listed today an ETF, a Bitcoin ETF from 3iQ. It's a Canadian firm. And, the United Arab Emirates, they're a fairly conservative country. And if they're going to be allowing Bitcoin ETFs to be approved of there, why the heck is it not being allowed in the United States? The SEC, there's something wrong. They're allowing 3-time ETFs on all these crazy, it's in terms of leveraged ETFs, they have it. So if you want to gamble, you have opportunities to do so on their stock exchanges. Is this not a safer bet than a 3-time ETF? I would say it is.
So is there conspiracy? Is there maybe some shenanigans between that is being collaborative between the U.S. and China, where the U.S. is saying to China, put the heat on so that it brings the price down. We'll delay the ETF so that we, the U.S. government or banks, can buy it low, and then it'll all work itself out at the end of the year. and we have a whole bunch of ETFs that are going to market with the banks and the trust funds that have already are loaded with low-priced BTC.
You're putting a lot of faith in the system because there's a lot of people like Michael Saylor out there that are going to be buying it every time it dips, and that theoretically should drive up the price. There's a lot of plebs and even a lot of institutions. You have the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs out there. They're buying it up too. Like I think
it can almost be a very simple explanation in that they don't have their tax game in order realistically on how they can just totally take full advantage of the taxes that are going to be generated from it. That's literally what I think, because that to me would explain why the SEC working with the government would kind of push for delays that really have no basis to them. But the tax code is what it is right now. And that was thrown together in Canada here too, like this. So my gut feeling would be that they're figuring out how to adequately tax, because I feel like there's a lot, like how many whales are able to, I mean, if tax evasion is an issue right now, it's not really an issue with the retail guy, but with the whales and now in crypto, I just see it as a buying time thing for me. But who knows?
Yeah, you may be right. They're just kind of kicking the can down the road. One thing, though, to consider is because now it's considered a currency in El Salvador, commercial laws are not going to be applied. It's a forex. So, if you buy now the euro or you buy Bitcoin, the same law should apply. So the same
I never looked at it like that.
So that's pretty easy. I would imagine that's a pretty easy framework just to apply to Bitcoin. But somebody's going to have to challenge this, and I would imagine it's just not too long before this is challenged.
Yeah, I love Candace's comments here. She says, wild, unfounded theory. She goes, she blames the SEC feud with Ripple. She goes, I think they're seeing if they win to see what precedents they get if they win before they decide what to do with other crypto assets. I think that's part of it.
That's pretty interesting, actually, too. Just, totally. Yeah, that's
But
smart.
I also believe that there's a part of me that thinks what's happening here. I really am out of it tonight.
Which arm was it? I'll give you a shot.
Don't be like that. But I honestly think that they're stalling so they can jockey for position. Honestly, I think that the longer they kick it down the road, the more time that all of these companies have time to start buying in and getting their positions. I don't think I buy into the China theory, Tim, only because they have trouble working with those guys on simple trade agreements, let alone, oh, hey, listen, you do this and I'll do this. I just don't buy into that. But I do honestly think that it's providing these hedge funds the opportunity to pick up and buy and get their positions gathered up. Like Anthony Pompliano's newsletter today, his very first thing he writes is one of the interesting pieces of news that came out of this morning is that Cathie Wood and ARK bought 1 million shares of GBTC yesterday, along with nearly 215 shares of Coinbase. Essentially, Cathie and her team bought the dip. He says this is noteworthy for a few reasons. One, professional asset managers are now identifying price dips as opportunities to add to their core positions. They understand that nothing has changed to the fundamental analysis, which means the long-term thesis is still intact. Buying cheap Bitcoin has historically been a great strategy. So,
are you sure she's not just rebalancing her portfolio? Because they'll do the complete opposite when Bitcoin goes up too, right? Like if they're maintaining a 5% holding during a dip, they're going to naturally buy more. And that's how the take profit cycle allows them to stay that way. So I'd be careful reading that because she just sold Bitcoin when it was up too. And that was because of a total rebalance. So whatever her allocation is set, that to me sounds like a rebalance. I mean, everybody does it. I would double check on that one if it's a rebalance for sure.
Well, but Cathie Woods has been on Pomp's podcast many times, and she talks about how she's very bullish on Bitcoin. And so it could be a rebalance, but it's just another example of what I'm trying to say here, which is I think they're all jockeying for position right now. They're getting into where they need to be. Because think about it, if you were going to put out an ETF, you'd want to have as much Bitcoin as you could, and you'd want to be able to show value to your investors as quickly as possible. What better way than to buy in when it's cheap like this, and as it goes up, now you're showing profits really quick.
So here's a question then for all of the guests and the viewers here as well. Is the 33K we're sitting at ish right now, US dollars? I don't know what it's at, 33, 34, something like that. Is that cheap? That's just a total free-for-all question just based on trend. I'm not saying long-term, okay? I'm saying for maybe a short-term buy-in or whatever. Is that cheap, or where do you guys see the trend? Maybe start with Len.
I think it's going to go down. There's going to be some news coming out that's going to drive the price down because it's not going up quickly. There's a lot of FUD out there, and every time there's more FUD that comes out, people buy it. Like we had the FBI hacking into the SHA-256, if you recall. There was the Colonial Pipeline hack, and there was $6 million of Bitcoin paid out, and the FBI hacked the SHA-256 to recover the Bitcoin. Well, it's not true, but people bought it, and this drives down the price. Now you have China. This news from China is driving down the price. It should be driving it up, if anything, but it's driving it down. So I think the 33K, I think it's probably a little high right now. It's probably going to drop before we go back up. But for whatever reason, we're still resilient. We hit as low as 28K and just drove back up really fast. Yeah. But I could see this going to the low 20s before we really go up high again. There's going to be a lot of institutional investors that are going to come in. And when they do, it's going to really drive up the price. And I think the price now has been dropped as well for a lot of profit takers. A lot of institutions bought in as it was driving up to 50, 60K, or even below that, and just sold as it got to that point. And they're profit takers. They're not investors. They're just there to trade. So that's going to keep the price. That's what helped the price drive down to what it is now. So expect it to go further down, and then we're going to go back up to. But
Len, there's so many people out there, like all the big influencers and stuff like this. And to be honest with you, some of them I've turned off because I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of listening to their stuff. Some of the people on YouTube, the big guys. But do you really see that it's going to come back at the end of the year up to the $300,000-$500,000? Do you ever see it coming? And do you think that this is just a temporary true dip, or is this more manipulation by external unnatural forces, if you will?
I think there's some manipulation going on, but a lot of people are buying into this manipulation as well, which is hampering the price. As for where it's going to go at the end of the year, your guess is as good as mine. I think we're going to stay in this region for quite some time. And even looking at that, look at where we were 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer than 6 months ago. Being at 33K is pretty darn good. It's not a bad place to be. And not just that, now we have ETFs out there. Now we have all these big companies buying in Bitcoin and putting it on their balance sheet. This wasn't happening, 8, 9, 10 months ago. So there's been progression. So the price where it is now, it is what it is. It's going to go up eventually. So it's hard to say exactly where it's going to go, when it's going to go up. It could be a slow transition. But one thing's for certain, inflation is here. And the Bitcoin is a good way to hedge against it. And they keep printing money. And as they keep doing it, inflation goes up and up and up. Everybody's feeling it. And gold isn't a good way to store your value. It just doesn't seem to have the same oomph that Bitcoin does. So that's one thing.
You know what? There's a couple of things there on the gold front. I mean, unless you actually hold the gold bars yourself, my concern with gold is it like the repo market? Who actually has that gold? Where is it? It's like this elusive thing. Those gold certificates and things like that. I don't trust it. I've lost trust of it.
Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I've never understood. Well, this is maybe my issue with Pax Gold. So you can claim 1-to-1, but there's a million account, and I could go on. I swear I got to make a video about this, but you could go on with Tether or all these things being 1-to-1, and then the accounting practice allows 1-to-1 to incur future interest or loans against, and this and that. It's not 1-to-1 true. So that doesn't exist. Like, holding it, I don't know. I'm a freak for it. I love it. I don't know that there's something about feeling like a friggin' pirate when I look at it, but I just love holding it. And I can never buy paper gold. Like, it's not gold, it's paper at the end of the day, which is as useless to me as fiat because, well, now fiat's plastic, but whatever. I'm not going to, I've never understood holding digital, literally paper gold or silver. I've just never understood it. And the accounting practices really make it so that the average person who does believe in a true one-to-one is disillusioned when you can really borrow against loans in future. And it's like, that doesn't actually make any sense, especially when we're talking about something like a physical metal like gold, used industrial all over the place. I don't know. Not
So,
a fan.
Len, what were you going to say, Len?
A lot of the gold is held by governments. Like I don't know what the number is. 80% of all gold
Canada
out there.
holds like nothing anymore. It's pathetic, and America's been selling off like crazy. That's the problem with it. But yet the gold certificates keep printing and printing. It becomes useless now at a point. You know what I mean?
Canada got out of the gold market within the past 5 years, I think it was, and that's it. Whatever. So we're no longer gold people anymore. But then again, since 1971, it is what is the point of gold? What government holding gold? It's not pegged to the, there's no connection between the dollar and gold. So whatever, you're right. They're selling this gold. Why? It's to make ends meet. And that's
Right.
Eventually that's going to run out.
No, it's so true. So I have a question for you, Ryan. Do you have like a chest in your basement that's filled with gold and silver? There's jewels dangling out of it.
There used to be a store in Ontario called Bombay. And it was like a wooden bookcase, wooden book almost. It was just it's like a giant book, but hollow book. Yeah. Anyway, all of my prized possessions, I mean, Time magazine, when Lady Diana died, I got the September 11th issue, all of that stuff, all my gold, silver, all of that stuff. No, I mean, just stuff that you want to show your kids in 50 years, 75, whatever, right? But all that kind of stuff, I got it in this hard ass, wicked looking book, wooden thing. And yeah, it does make me feel like a pirate when I'm holding all these gold coins and
Get
silver
you a
coins.
parrot to sit on your shoulder.
Maybe you should turn the camera off.
Oh boy.
I love silver. I'm a silver freak.
Oh man. Well, okay, so I want to go back for a second to what we were just talking about and to continue talking about Bitcoin. And I was thinking that the whole thing, to your point, Len, with it going down before it goes back up, I was watching something and they were talking about Michael Saylor, and I know some people really don't like that guy, but whether you like him or you don't like him, he did his Bitcoin big forum back in February. Do you remember that? And he had said it took him 6 months from the time he decided to buy Bitcoin to prepare his board of directors, to get himself in a position to buy it over a long enough period of time so as not to really tip the price point as he was doing it. And he gave the roadmap of how he did it. Well, we're at the 4 month mark from that. So if any of the big companies were trying to take a position in Bitcoin, we're at month 4 now. So I'm anticipating that we should see something around the August-September mark. What do you think about that concept?
Well, do you have any companies you're thinking of off the top of your head? I'm just curious.
That might be jockeying and adding Bitcoin in?
Yeah. Because immediately that comes to mind for me, it's Apple. That's number one. They have
Okay, sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I want to hear why you just said Apple.
Okay, so it's a two-pronged argument I have here. So number one, Apple, they sit on a large number of cash. I think it's 200 billion that you're just sitting on, and that's really doing nothing. It's just melting away, in essence. But I don't see them going into Bitcoin. And the reason why I don't see them going into Bitcoin is because the ESG aspect. Because Bitcoin right now there's this notion that it's dirty energy was used to mine it, etc. And that doesn't play well with Apple's their environment and just their image and so forth. So that's why I could see them, they want to get in, but I could see why they don't want to get in. But if they ever do get in, it works really well because the integration with Apple Pay and all that, it would be not just a game changer, but it just works so well. I could just see that working, and it would help bring Bitcoin to the masses. But the
like
ESG
a hand in a glove. Honestly, okay. So I was reading an article about this a few days ago, 3-4 days ago, speaking about potential companies getting in, yada yada yada, and then Apple came up, but Apple's massive presence in China. Do you see that posing an issue? Because this opinion-based type article was mentioning all these companies who are so reliant on Chinese manufacturing might actually have an issue integrating Bitcoin into it. And then Apple was their example.
Tesla is trying to really get into the Chinese market, but they hold Bitcoin, a large amount of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Plus, Elon Musk owns a lot of Bitcoin as well. So that's my counter argument. I don't think that's going to be a big thing.
Well, you know what I think too? I think that this goes along with the narrative of what we were talking about earlier with China, with all the miners, with a giant chunk of the miners leaving China and going to going to a place where there's cleaner energy and the mining is not being done with coal. I think it fits the narrative of what Apple could buy into, and it fits the timeline anyways of when they could do it. And outside of Apple, I see KB Direct put in Amazon. Amazon was a company that they thought it'd be interesting to see from the folks in the comment section any of the other companies that you think may be jockeying for position on any of these on any of the buying Bitcoin. Ken, what do you think? Have you got any companies in mind that you think might be?
I was thinking Apple right off the bat.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't see anybody right now. There's too many big players already in it. Like you got Google, you've got
PayPal,
Samsung, Sony's already in it.
Okay, but if all the sports, what about the sports teams?
Well, right now you have the Athletics, the Oakland Athletics accept Bitcoin, the San Jose Sharks accept Bitcoin. That's immediately that comes to mind.
Isn't Lightning going to make that 10 times easier though for sports?
Lightning will improve everything. Lightning is, for everybody that's not aware, it's the second layer that works on Bitcoin. So if you imagine Bitcoin as TCP/IP, Lightning would be the HTTP. So it's just a layer that runs on top of it. And so what Lightning does, it improves transactions. It's a peer-to-peer settlement where settlement is done almost instantaneous, from milliseconds to a few seconds. That's how quick a transaction takes. And the transaction fees are minuscule compared to if you're trading or sending money on the main chain, the main Bitcoin chain. Right now, if you're doing anything on Bitcoin, it's every 10 minutes is the increment from when a transaction could take place. Could be longer depending on how long the waiting list is, and also the fees are really high, and Lightning basically eliminates those two problems. So bringing Lightning to the masses is, I think it's a great opportunity here to bring Bitcoin to the masses, because as you say, if sports teams adopt it, heck, just even the merchants.
Well, transactional speed, it seems to be the big thing. Well, if I'm just thinking regular consumer wise, or even as a business owner, a near instantaneous transaction makes it as valuable to me as a physical $20 bill. Even like, and I'm just speaking broadly, right? So I think Lightning is going to blow it up.
You want to know where Lightning will really shine? In the world where Visa and MasterCard are currently being used, because the merchants themselves, I'm not sure what the fees are. Is it 2 to 4% that they?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This really knocks that, it chops it at the knees to almost near zero. And
wow,
the fact that settlement is done instantaneous I'm not sure how it works in the MasterCard or Visa world, but I think settlement is a few days or longer.
It does take a couple of days. Yeah.
So could you imagine if the settlement is done instant versus a few days and fees are near zero? Well, that's a game changer right there. Just basically they have to they have to polish the product up and release it to the public.
Yeah, there's quite a few quite a few problems with Visa and MasterCard, especially when it comes to the high fees. Like
Amex is the worst.
Yeah, Amex.
Oh man, these businesses are struggling, and you add on all of those fees on top of it. It is unbelievable for them to have to, and they're not supposed to pass it on to the end consumer, but they do. And it's just unbelievable. So you start finding ways around that people can transfer money in and out and payment. And, to your point, here was the thing that was difficult when I ran the restaurant is, I dare say it on here, but if you didn't go through and somebody didn't put it in the pin pad, and we did it and just swiped it, as opposed to getting them, forget signing it. If they didn't put the pin pad in, those typically would come back to us. It was usually a fraudulent account on those ones. I actually stopped taking it. And you don't know for several days until the payment's all clear. You don't have a clue that person is eaten and then not paid for their meal. It's terrible.
Is the Lightning still got the security, the same as what the current platform is for Bitcoin?
Yes, it's actually going to be even more secure once Taproot is rolled out, and Taproot's going to be rolling out November of this year. Once that happens, it's going to be very difficult to find out who's making the transactions with through the Lightning Network. So come November this year, it's going to be a great time to be in the Lightning Network sphere.
And that's only running on that's only running on BTC, isn't it? That's
Correct.
Not running on anything else.
Well, there is. I think there's.
Are they crossing over at all?
I think it's. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think even Litecoin does it. I think, but I don't really look too much into that. But it does run on Bitcoin and Bitcoin, so it's mainly for that.
Wow, that's
amazing.
a game changer.
Amazing.
That is a game changer for sure.
Yeah. So in fact, we've been talking about a company on our show, Liquid LQWD, and they're a company that is in the Lightning Network world, and they're trying to bring that to businesses throughout Canada. They operate out of BC, and it's publicly traded. So it's a really interesting company that I think that they're going to be at the forefront for bringing Lightning to people, because right now it's really at the infancy, and they're a company that has no competition right now. So consider that as a sleeper pick, not financial advice, though.
Well, yeah, and you did a bit of a dive down on your last podcast, which is the Canadian Bitcoiners. Did you do Liquid? Did you review Liquid in that podcast, the recent one you just did? We
talked about Liquid. We didn't do a full review of them, but we talked about them for the past 2 podcasts.
Okay.
And yeah, so we did do some deep dive into them.
Yeah.
So Shannon's asking, what's the name of the company?
Liquid FinTech Incorporated, I think. So LQWD.
Oh,
FinTech.
So that brings up another side note. What do you think about O'Leary opening up his own or the proposal of him opening up his own, is it FinTech out in BC?
Is it WonderFi?
So, yes.
I have no comment on that. It's going to be probably another
another O'Leary fund, right?
No, it is what it. I just wonder. It's probably going to be running on the Ethereum network, and honestly, I can't speak on that topipic with confidence.
Okay.
So
That's okay. That's awesome. We one of the things we wanted to. Oh my gosh, you can totally tell I'm not myself tonight with this shot. I'm like a little spacey today.
Your name's Nancy.
You know, that's not helpful. That's not helpful. I could go lie down, you know.
I'd follow you with the computer.
You go, Ryan.
Journey was just mentioning Wealthsimple. For the beginners who are watching, added a few more cryptocurrencies. I think they got 10 now. And I've heard from the people that I talk to on their end of things that for me, I'm not really interested in Wealthsimple for crypto if I can't actually move it out. So for me, it's a write-off on the crypto side of things, just because I'm kind of past that zone. But what they were saying is that in the next 18 months, like maximum, they're working on having the ability to move. So it might all change with Wealthsimple being more a wallet in a year or 2 from now. But yeah, they did add 10 new currencies, Chainlink and Doge and Aave and the big names, some of the bigger ones. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, in a year or 2 from now, that's like centuries in the real world, because the way
I'm
things
not
are
on
moving.
it, dude. I'm not using Wealthsimple for crypto, but yeah,
right.
that's their whole thing is.
I don't know what Ryan's saying. What you're saying is correct. You don't want to hold it on there because you never know what's going to happen. When you have it in your own keys, your own wallet, your own hard wallet, cold wallet, you know for sure it's not going to be lost unless you could lose your keys. Leaving it on an exchange, I do not recommend that. That's just playing with fire.
So Len, do you keep yours on a cold wallet, or do you keep yours with like BlockFi or Lend or one of those guys?
Not your keys, not your coin. I keep that in a cold wallet.
Really? Yeah.
So you don't do anything where you're making it make money for you?
Correct. The only thing I would even consider would be sovereign BTC. But even then, I'm still I'm learning that system and how it works, but I'm just not totally convinced about that. I like holding it in my wallet. I know where it is. I know what's going to happen. It's mine in the end. I'm not trying to make small amounts of interest in it, because if I could lose it, if something happens and I lose it all, I don't know what I do.
Pooched,
Yeah. I don't want to rely on fiat currency.
Oh no. What doesn't that stand for? Fix it again, Tony.
That's Fiat car. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
No, but if you think about it, like if you want to transition the topic, just if the fiat currency, they're going to be doing CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies. That's going to be a shitcoin. Sorry to use that term, but let's be honest. The central bank digital currency will be backed by nothing. They'll be making unlimited amount of currency in existence. It's like Doge. People make fun of Doge, but if you're making fun of Doge, you're making fun of CBDC as well.
Yeah, and with that, with any kind of currency, digital currency, the government, especially government backed, they're going to be able to track everything you do, everything.
Yeah, and another thing that's going to be on the table, they could put an expiry date on anything.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yeah,
I
so
don't know if that'll fly.
Well,
Explain that.
It will be a way for them to encourage people to spend rather than save it, to
Oh.
encourage the economy to keep churning away.
Then there will be new derivatives, man, to cycle through some cash. I don't think that'll ever be an expiry of cash.
No,
I
that's
can
what they're
honestly
saying.
The digital
would
yuan
die
already
before
has
then.
that. So it's
Really?
This is not, yes. Yeah, so this is not just like fantasy right now. This is reality. So we don't know what's going to happen. Tracking expiry dates and who knows whatever else.
And not only that, but they could also have it tell you where you could spend it. Not just that it will expire, but they'll tell you which of these places or which of these things could you spend it on. So if they need to move like hard goods, because there's a backlog of hard goods in the market, here we'll give you this, but you all got to go buy a toaster.
I was just going to go there. Yes. Theoretically, if some company is not too favorable of the government, what's the government going to stop for digital currency from being not spent there? Like they could say you can't spend it with that company anymore. Like that's pretty draconian over in Canada. But you never know. Like they have the ability to manipulate where the money will be and will not be spent. So
sounds like communism to me.
It does, yeah. I mean, we're going,
but we're going there a little bit. If
we'll give you
kind
what you
of,
want, but you have to spend it this way.
Yeah. So it's a very scary world where we're going to end up in the next little while. So buy Bitcoin.
Yeah. No, but this is the thing, and it's hard to talk about it and not be political, and you don't want to. And I don't think that they are in. I don't think most of them are intentionally wanting to go to that direction. But as each generation comes on and more, they're trying to control more and more and more and more, they can justify their positions on it. And they can't see it. They're just too into it now, right?
Yeah. And with more people also, like they're just addicted to it with the airdrop of money. CERB payments, a lot of it's going to be forgiven. Recently in California, they're talking about for rent, they're just going to be using federal money to pay off back rent for people in California. So
really?
Yes.
They have the highest state taxes ever, highest medium income ever, largest homeless problem ever. And oh my God. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, and doing all these measures, okay, I don't want to be in a position of I don't have a job and everything because that's pretty, I just don't know what it's like. But doing all these things, ultimately, it just creates an individual that has no incentive to work. And when that happens, you're not built for the long term. You're built for the short term. The economy cannot sustain itself in the long term in that situation.
Facts.
Right. No, it's so true. Chris Brophy has a question for you, Len. Sorry, switching gears a little bit. He wants to know your thoughts on Elon and Bitcoin.
He's a troll. That he is simply a troll, and I don't think he has any. If he's Elon on Bitcoin, I have no idea. I just think he's in it for the fun of it, and I don't know. He's doing nothing good for the Bitcoin community as of late. He was part of the Bitcoin Mining Council, but then I think he was no longer part of it. I don't know. He's a child, it seems like, just having fun, and good for him. I wish I was in that situation where I had billions of dollars where I could just do stuff and just have fun at the same time. But ultimately, it's impacting a lot of people, unfortunately.
I think Michael Saylor is impacting more people. To be honest, that's my opinion. But I had a question I wanted to ask all night, because I know that the very first time I spoke to Nancy, and I hated crypto, and she was talking about this guy. He's like, this company does this crazy, and they're projecting. And like, do you guys think Michael Saylor, by tying his, more traditional type kind of business asset, his company, to Bitcoin so much so, is a good thing or a bad thing for Bitcoin? I'm not talking about for his business. His business is now tied to Bitcoin's chart, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But do you think it's a good thing for Bitcoin to be adopted on a level that almost forces regulation when all of these whales, okay, because these whales are now governed by their board of directors and the SEC and their regulations. But if all of the holders of Bitcoin are regulated, then how is Bitcoin not regulated?
Well, first of all, do we know that Saylor is a whale in the true sense of a whale? That's the first thing I would ask. Second thing I would suggest.
If he's not a whale, I can't even imagine who isn't. I mean, well, when I say Michael Saylor, I'm talking MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor. Like, okay. Honestly,
yeah. Well,
like if I could just speak on that quickly. MicroStrategy owns 100,000 Bitcoin. So that's one of every 210 Bitcoin that will ever be in existence. But in reality, it's a much better ratio for him, because there's approximately $4 million it's anticipated of Bitcoin that's lost.
Pretend Bitcoin's not regulated when all of its owners are heavily regulated. And when I say that, I mean the whales, obviously not retail. How is Bitcoin really not going to get swallowed by the system, really? That's like what I mean. I'm still not invested in Bitcoin. I think everyone who follows my channel knows that. I'm on the internet side of the Internet of Things side of things. I'm on Ethereum's end of things. But like, how is Bitcoin not getting swallowed by the whales themselves? Just in the nature of who's holding them. That's like my biggest fear with it. Is all these retail traders is what made Bitcoin exciting to me, because we're what makes it deregulated. But then now you've got an overabundance of whales holding. The retailers have fudded right out. They're gone, and they'll be drifting away very slowly over the next year, probably. And now, again, all the holders are genuinely regulated by boards of directors and ethics boards who are demanding, for instance, clean mind. This, like, what comes next for Bitcoin that can actually maintain its foundation? That's like my whole biggest thing is like, is this whole adoption the end of the whole idea? And is Bitcoin now just going to turn into a quasi currency, a fiat current? Like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm.
So what do you think, Len?
Hyper-Bitcoinization. Is anyone familiar with that term?
No.
It's where there's mass adoption through the world that's the reserve currency. And so when that happens, then that's the end game. Right now, we're kind of experiencing that right now. I mean, we see El Salvador, they adopted it. And Paraguay, they're going to be introducing legislation in July. So you have now two countries that are already going to be Bitcoin. And you know what? The first one was hard. The second one was less hard. And it's going to be even easier going forward because the framework is set up. So that's essentially the end game. It's just adoption of Bitcoin on a global scale. And it's going to be a lot easier for these countries that are, I don't want to call them third world, the developing nations, we'll call them, that they don't have, some of them, they already use the US dollar. What hope in heck do they have of getting out of the poverty that they're in if they're using the US dollar, which is being printed to oblivion by somebody else? So really, what do they do? Well, if they adopt Bitcoin, it's a good opportunity for them to elevate their citizens and bring them out of poverty to some level of, I don't know, not going to say wealth, but at least somewhat closer to what we experience here in Canada.
Ryan, I know where you were going with your question there, and I'm not sure that there's a simplified answer on there.
Like, I'm confused on how to even look at it, because I can't tell if that's the best thing for Bitcoin or just the absolute worst in how it goes against everything that kind of Bitcoin stands for. Like that, and maybe that's just my naive outlook on Bitcoin, just getting into crypto less than 4 months ago. So who am I to say? But that's my biggest thing now is I'm like, the exact people I don't want in Bitcoin are the ones who own everything. Like, that's my biggest thing, really.
It's no different than any other currency, though. You know,
but then it's no different.
But there's a difference.
Then what? That's exactly
But there's a difference.
why
There is a difference.
There's a fundamental
what's the
difference.
there's more volatility in Bitcoin than there is in any other currency in the world. That's probably the biggest difference.
You're looking at a micro level. On a macro level, no, because it keeps going up and up. If you just zoom out the charts, it's the reality of it. And another thing to consider is Bitcoin itself. It's a hard asset. There's going to be no more that's going to be printed. You can't say the same about Canadian dollar or US dollar. So I'm not sure what your net worth is, but I know that going forward, your net worth will probably be much less than what it is today, unless you could substantially increase your wealth somehow. The rich, they have ways of making money. The poor, they're screwed anyways. Like there's nothing you could do about that. They have to somehow be elevated. But the middle class, the only opportunity they have now to save themselves, they have to find hard assets. Houses is fantastic, but if you can't afford that, what's next? Bitcoin.
Right. And buying a Satoshi now will eventually, if you hold it over the long period of time, it will increase in value over the long haul. Versus it's not, you can't say the same about fiat currency.
And this is the price point, right around where the price point is of BTC is where we last bought in a full coin, right? And we thought this was huge and we were getting FOMO here. I mean, we started buying in at $9,000 back when it was like that. And it was like, and people were complaining when it was up at the high 50s, low 60s, when it topped up there. I'll never be able to afford it. Well, now it's dropped down. It's just become more affordable, right? It's just become more affordable if you dollar cost average in.
I just still can't wrap my head around why everybody has accepted Bitcoin as that answer to the question. Because I truly just see Bitcoin as the idea and the foundation. And I don't see Bitcoin. I mean, you guys say Bitcoin just goes up and up and up and up until it goes down. Simple as that. Like the second there's another answer to the question, it's done. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's then now old technology. Who here at the end of the day, DVD, Blu-ray. Now we got streaming. Like, I mean, everything's going to change. And I know that's a crude like analogy, but at the end of the day, to think Bitcoin, I just can't wrap my head around. Like, I feel like by the time I get into Bitcoin, there's going to be the answer to Bitcoin. And that's like my whole big thing right now is I understand Ethereum's purpose. I just don't give a shit though about Bitcoin when Litecoin is the exact same blockchain network. It's got 4 times the coins printed and about a bajillionth of the price. There's a disconnect. So now I try to understand the adoption that happened way back when, say 2013, and think, okay, Bitcoin obviously on a marketing standpoint, maybe it's the first at the race. I have no idea, but that's the one that people chose. I just can't see. Bitcoin seems too damn simple to solve the world's issues, right? Like it's just this is something that I only bring this up not to challenge, but to like learn from what you guys can say, because I still cannot wrap my friggin' brain how around everybody's saying Bitcoin is a physical store of value. To me, it's not. I actually cannot wrap my brain around it. I don't look at
well, it used to be buttons and rocks and stuff, and then it became gold, and now it's
the
gold stayed the same. The buttons and rocks went away.
Anything more on my side of things.
No, Ryan, when you buy equities, do you own anything? You're owning essentially a digital copy of something. This is kind of the same thing.
Of something tangible, though, something real, right?
Do you?
That's my only. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, a share is a share of something that you can buy. Like. What I don't understand
is just a contract. That's all a share is.
For sure. Okay, contract. Right? I just don't I think maybe I put the emphasis on the wrong part of what I was saying. I think my biggest issue is I can't see how Bitcoin it's too frigging simple for me to really say that, okay, and now gold for thousands of years, forget it. Forget fiat, forget it. We're done. And we're going to go to Bitcoin. And now for the next 4,000, 2,000, whatever, 1,000 years, we're going to be dealing with Satoshis and let's trade space credits. And like, I just can't, like, I mean, I'm so old school. I know, guys, but He can't hold his Bitcoin in his Bombay box. You know what? I could put my
I know.
in my Bombay box.
It's the Diana and Prince Charles brochure wedding magazine that you have that's killing me.
I got it.
That's what your fact.
gift.
That's
It's
not going to go
prized
for much, but
possession.
your silver will.
It's a prized possession.
Oh man, welcome to the hot seat, Tim Perry. It's nice to see
In
you.
fairness, though, guys, I'm sorry to like bring that all up. I'm still to this day. Everyone can feel free to take a total SH on me, but like I actually still want to figure out what you guys are feeling with Bitcoin, because I'm just not like. There's a part of me that would rather buy Litecoin than Bitcoin, and I don't get why. I mean, I see as little. I mean, Litecoin's going to go up this much for me as a trade value. I see Bitcoin being as useless. I'm in ETH, and in some other things really, but like I just really don't get it.
But Ryan, does it make a difference that all of a lot of corporate America is buying Bitcoin and not Litecoin?
No, if anything, it means I feel now that it's, if anything, them buying more into it takes away from Bitcoin. Like why I got into Bitcoin, why I got into crypto. I like the whole decentralized aspect of things. I don't like that they're buying so much into it. That I don't like. I like the retail aspect of crypto and how things were truly spread out. That's real deregulation when they've got no control. But when you've got all of these whales and now filtering out all of these retail traders, you've got nothing but giant traders and the few retail ones that are left. And those retail ones are going to make a boatload of cash. But to say it's like
Ryan,
it's
I'm gonna give you
unregulated,
a
I just don't get it.
to this.
Okay, so Len's going to give you a counterpoint.
Okay, perfect.
Let's look at like Apple. Do you think that they bought Bitcoin en masse? Ditto for Google. And how about Amazon? How about Netflix? And I'll go company after company. Microsoft probably does because they've been accepting Bitcoin for some time. There's so many companies out there, very large dollar companies out there that probably have not bought into Bitcoin. So there's still
There's a really amazing article actually about a presentation Michael Saylor gave to hundreds of CEOs, and when they left within 1 week, not one CEO had gone through with it. Now, obviously, times have changed, and more are getting into it. I'm not really worried about that. It's a snowball effect. It's one after another. You only need enough Cubans and Musks out there, and then sailors out there. That's all you need, really. And then it's going to be spurring. And then you got Kathy Wood, another one, and people think of her as a demigod. Like it's not even just the average CEO. It's that the top CEOs, the most popular people on the planet for some reason, are doing it. And then when people shit on Musk versus another CEO, they're only doing it because of that popularity. So you can't look at it as with respect to like every company. Like Elon Musk's got the power of 100 CEOs. You know what? At the end of the day, like, so that's my biggest thing is it's becoming. It's too volatile, right? I mean, I just don't understand how these guys. I don't understand.
Ryan, it sounds like you really want to. Ryan, it sounds like you really want to buy some Bitcoin. I think
Soon,
this is
but
it.
I just
You
don't
really want to buy
now.
some Bitcoin. This is a guy in the closet about Bitcoin, folks.
So in the 1970s, when the US dollar was decoupled from gold, the price of gold went through some volatile times as well. So gold is not immune from volatility as well. And this is not ancient history. This is some 50 years ago. So now what you're having now is Bitcoin is kind of at the same stage where gold was in the 70s, where it's trying to find its equilibrium. But now there's also the added fact where there's people buying in, and still a lot of people that still have to buy in. And that's going to drive up the price. Sure, it's volatile, but ultimately it's going to be going up in price. And we are still right now at a very early stage of buying in. I mentioned already a bunch of companies. I don't think that they bought in, and they have a lot of capital that they could use to purchase Bitcoin. And when they come in,
slowly we'll get there. It's just every day we inch closer and closer and closer to this corporate adoption. We get closer and closer and closer to the same market manipulation that we see on the stock market side of things. You can trade leveraged Bitcoin. You can trade options. It's no different now at this point. So the hedge funds, sure, drag us all out. Get the retailers the F out of the farm right now. It's our game. It's our dance. Go home, okay? Okay, now buy in, do your thing. And then for everyone else who comes on after the fact, They control it. We don't control shit. It's just another derivative at the end of the day. So I just hate the adoption on the corporate. I mean, it's very not crypto-like for me. I mean,
we live in a capitalist society where you have an opportunity
here
to purchase.
though. But what about everywhere else? But that's the whole problem. Is so Bitcoin, if anything, freaks me because it will lead to a more globalistic kind of view of things in the fact that now currency's tied, and that I don't like either. So there's a whole lot of things that I don't like about corporate world getting into this and mixing globalist views in countries that might like just 20 times. Okay, for instance, a company with horrible human rights and environmental regulations, 20x a Sweden, for instance. But you've got to look at the power fluctuations that are going to happen then as well. Like really, at the end of the day, I look at it from a totally different perspective, and I'm thinking just people. Sorry, by the way, we've been totally screwing off for like at 20 minutes now. What's going on, Tim? What's going on, Neil?
Well, I think Len's starting to get outnumbered by who's appearing on screen here, and he was kind enough to say 30 to 60 minutes. We're almost at that 60 minutes, and I can see the sweat beads on his forehead now.
That's right.
That's
right.
There's still lots of fighting.
You know what? We can set this up on another portion, but you know what? All good points, all good talking points, but we do have to move over to the dark side, Len. But I really want to, my friend, thank you so much for coming on. Folks, for those of you who are on there, it's the Canadian Bitcoiners. They have a YouTube channel. Please go over, like, subscribe, watch them. They got some neat stuff coming out about mining. I'm not going to say anything about that, but it's some pretty cool, neat stuff there. Interview with someone from Leaden. If you haven't gone over and start from the beginning of their videos, because they really, I mean, I sit down and watch him. He does a deep dive on the some of the wallets, some of the on-ramps, ETFs. Yeah, I like the one on the, actually, I did like the ETFs because it was a Class A, Class B, and I never picked that up, and it was like, how did I miss that? So they've got some really good stuff. And everyone else has to be quiet.
They're a hidden gem, like not a whole, like they're really a hidden gem. Like it's honestly, guys, go over there and definitely subscribe to their channel. Lots of info.
And can I ask one thing, Len? Will you come back sometime and really help Ryan to get his head round? Now that you know what his point of view is, can you come back and help this poor kid get his head wrapped around what the heck Bitcoin is? Because he talks around in circles that I'm like Ryan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We don't want him to be left out and be in no corner.
I'll be honest. I feel like you guys have drank the Kool-Aid on Bitcoin. And I'm gonna step back and see what happens to you guys first. That's where I'm at with this. It's still Kool-Aid to me. I'm chilling out.
All right, don't be left behind. But
don't be left behind. Len, you are the bestest.
Thank you so much, Len, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Len.
No, well, really, Tim, though, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Tim's sitting there going, he's like watching a tennis match.
Everything's to me, man.
I'm you know what?
I'm on Rye's side, and I'm on.
Well, it's because if you start creating securities and derivatives, which they're doing right now, okay, fuck it, fuck crypto. It's now the same as stock markets. Like, I thought we were after the stream. Sorry, guys. Okay.
No, it's a little red button there. You'll never make it in TV.
Okay.
Oh my God.
It's okay, guys. YouTube will let one or two fly. Oops. Sorry, I literally thought that. Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's out of the stable now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Right.
So, how's everybody doing? Neil, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to claim some rewards and that. Having a little struggles.
I just wrote you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you can't claim it yet.
No, it's a different one. I had 3 pools and I haven't been able to get what I actually put forward.
I know, on Define.
Yeah, I've got the other ones I got to I just it's not always easy doing stuff. I got the kids yelling.
But so since a lot of these people are still beginner, your issue is what? That you cannot get your rewards, or that you cannot get your your original coins back.
Original coins back.
So you have to remove your liquidity. You have to go to the pools section, and you'll still have your LP token. You hit remove liquidity, approve it, and you'll get your coins back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did that.
Oh, I've had no problems.
Yeah, I think it's one of my settings because it's my MetaMask again, right? It's like what the hell's going on? So
yeah, for anyone who's into Matic and stuff, if you've noticed that it's been really going a lot slower lately, you can just switch your when you configured your MetaMask, you can switch one of the it's called the RPC chain. You can switch that and you can find a faster chain. That's what I did, and I was flying again because I was starting to like be a little downer on Matic, and then I just ignorance. I didn't know that I could do that.
Well, all I have to do is the thumbnail, and then we're live with that video.
Okay, yeah. A lot of people have been wondering.
I know, and asking.
Me too.
And asking. Well, we're finally there. Tim's gonna get the thumbnail done, and then I'll probably fix it, and then it'll be up live.
Cool.
How are you doing, Tim? We missed you last week.
Yeah, I'm just starting to fade into the summertime, you know?
Yes, we're all feeling that way. We're all feeling that way. Are you still farming like crazy?
Yeah, so actually, I'm sure I could share it with some people. So I've been moving around a lot and going like basically becoming just a farm whore, and going to all the good the best APYs and stuff like that. Anyways, I jumped into this one coin, and I only did half USDC, and I did half the coin, and I did an LP, and I farmed it. And man, I learned my big lesson in permanent loss. This was the first time I've been really hit with a bad impermanent loss. The coin obviously dropped significant, which then caused the weighting of my LP to go wonky. So let's just say you obviously start 50-50. Let's just say I started with $100 in USDC. I only got $50 back. And obviously the other, half of that went into the coin side, and that coin was already dropped significantly. So I basically took a 50% cut on my entire thing. Now, luckily I didn't put a lot in, but I learned a lot about that, which then has led me to my new find and my new gem. I obviously was like, I don't like this impermanent loss problem. So I went looking and asked around, and I found Impermax, ticker's IMX, and basically you can pool your LPs. You can leverage your LPs as well, which is something that I've never seen before. And you can leverage stables. So, and obviously I don't normally recommend leveraging. I'm still playing paper money with it just to see if I would do okay in it. But you can essentially, no, it wasn't Titan, Youngman. Youngman was the one who brought me to Titan. Luckily, I was watching that. I don't know if anyone else knows of Titan, but Titan went from $60 to $0. Yeah.
Wasn't that what Mark Cuban got the rug pulled down on him?
That's what you call a rim shot.
Yeah, I don't know in the end if it was actually a technical. I mean, I guess a rug pull is a rug pull, so it's getting the rug pulled from underneath. But like the team didn't scam. They had what's called like a reset stable coin. Now those ones are obviously they'll go all the way down. Then it has to kind of rebalance. I'm not going to get into that tonight because that's a whole nother worm that I'm still technically learning. But yeah, it didn't like reset, and then people figured out how to manipulate it. So it just kept driving the price down and down and down till you got screwed. But obviously, if you had rode Titan and got out in profits, you would have made a lot of money. But no, Impermax is it's $1 million market cap right now. It's only 10 cents. It's $1 million market cap, which is insane. So it's a super small gem. But you can a lot of issues are you can stake. There's very few places that you can stake USDC or any stable coin and just get like flat stable coins back. And they have a thing where you can add 1/2 of your. So if I wanted to add USDC to a LP, but I didn't want to do an LP, I could just add it to it for people who want more leverage and I take a cut, I wouldn't get 300%, but I would get like 10%. So I'm getting 10% on it, and I don't get any permanent loss on it. So it's got a cool little. I wouldn't be surprised if that thing picks up speed. So I'm just messing around with that right now. But that's for $1 million market cap too. I feel like that's a pretty secret gem. It just came out in May. So the team's out there. I haven't vetted them or anything. This is literally like a 24-hour fine because I just took out my just got mutilated by impermanent loss. So I obviously was like, there's got to be an answer to impermanent loss. And sure enough, as crypto's like this thing where honestly, like the day before it doesn't exist in crypto, and then the minute there's a problem, it's like these guys figure out how to solve the problem and start doing it. Crypto's pretty cool like that.
Hey, what'd you think about McAfee?
Not surprised. I mean, I don't know.
I guess the security system wasn't so good after all.
Because a year ago, he got a tattoo on his arm, and he posted on his Twitter like a year ago that if he was going to get offed, that it was like going to be a conspiracy kind of thing, or that he would never kill himself. But McAfee's also a guy who's lied through his teeth and likes to generate a lot of. He seems like a guy who would like to generate, knowing probably that he was going to kill himself. Probably like, I'm just going to throw out this just so.
I literally was saying that exact
really?
same thing.
Yeah, I think he did it. I don't.
Honestly, because like, go check out all of his social media. He's that kind of guy who just to screw with you, he would do it. And like, he's out of control, waving guns. I'll do whatever I want. Like, the guy is literally who kills themselves for tax evasion at the end of the day. So there must have been something different, but I feel like, yeah, he definitely. I
personally think I've never been a fan of the guy. He was like the first Elon Musk of crypto. Like, he would always be pumping and dumping and doing all that kind of stuff. And he's obviously got a notorious reputation and a lot of stuff that obviously I'm not going to slander him now. But yeah, he seems like a guy who would like to troll you even in the afterlife. I don't know.
The ultimate troll. He got his smile off the last second.
Yeah, but he also seems like a guy who's like, I don't think he wanted to go back to, like, it makes more sense. Like, I don't want to go back to the States. He was only going back for tax evasion. Like, he wasn't going back for any high conspiracy. And I always think he always made himself out to be a little more influential in crazier things than he really was. Just my opinion. But.
Hey, Ken, here's your spotlight on Theta.
Good post on Theta, by the way, Ken.
Hey, what do you guys think about? Did you guys hear what happened in Decentraland? I think it's called.
No, why don't you tell us? I did.
16 acres sold for just under $1 million.
16 acres of digital
virtual land. Yeah. Just under $1 million.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's better than CryptoKitties if anyone's been around long enough to know what that is.
CryptoKitties.
No, CryptoKitties was a thing on Ethereum, an app, and you could breed little kittens, and they were all obviously unique, but they bogged down. Like, it was just like when caused gas to go up $900. This happened in like 2018, and it bogged down the ETH system, and people were spending $200,000 for these ETH kitties. But then again, CryptoPunks, it's an NFT. It's literally like a pixelated image of like a face that looks like a 5-year-old can do. One just went for like $1 million and something the other day too, and I was just like, people are losing their minds, man. Like, give me that, and I'll try to cure cancer. And said, you want to buy a pixelated picture of?
It's ridiculous. On the NFT front, there was obviously banning crypto or Bitcoin mining in China, yada yada yada. On the NFT front, Jack Ma, owner of Alibaba and about 1 billion other Ali whatever type companies out there, they just successfully sold millions and millions and millions of dollars of NFTs in the last 2 days and explicitly separated the difference between NFTs and currencies. So NFT, because the currency wouldn't be allowed otherwise in China. So the NFT market, according to Jack Ma, seems to be still alive in China. But they just unloaded a bunch of NFTs in China from that network. But anyway.
Yeah, they're always manipulating stuff. Like right now, I mean, I don't know, hash rates. If I've always said that a clear marker for the future price of Bitcoin is to just follow the hash rate, and the hash rate's down bad. So I'd still
temporary.
be careful.
It's temporary for now. I think everything is temporary for now, right?
Absolutely.
We're just
but
sideways.
it's just like, like I've been like not to, I've had 50% of my port in stables now for the last, I guess, probably 2 to 3 weeks, if not longer. And I admit I was sweating because I sold it at around 180 and 160 on Matic, and it kind of went back up on that bounce. I was like, oh God, no, please no. So it's still going to the way. I still think we're dropping. You just had Len on. I know back in the day, Lennon called like 25K, and I thought he was nuts for that. But now I'm literally thinking he's dead on.
Yeah.
But
so we had a comment from someone about, are you still bullish on Define and Matic?
There's a little debate going on in there. Kyle, I am even more bullish on Define. Actually, I just told Neil and my buddy the other day that I'm basically, when I buy the bottom of whatever I think the bottom is, I may not even be going too much back into Matic. I'm just going into Define and Root. Obviously, it's an educated gamble and they're more speculative. But and Twin World put not fun that Define token dropped from $3 to $2. That is nothing compared to all the other altcoins right now. Mm-hmm. Define has been holding up a lot better than the majority of altcoins right now. I mean, Union's down from 13 cents to a penny. There's a lot of coins that are getting muted, like just hammered 10 times more. So if you look at any coin right now, it's not fair to say Define's dropped when every single other coin has absolutely been destroyed in this chop, and it's going to get worse, in my opinion. I think we're going to chop around 30. We're just going to keep going between 30 and like 40, 42, and then we're either going to get like a super drop down and then maybe a V recovery, or we're going to go up. But this chop is going to probably kill altcoins even more, especially as people get more back. The Bitcoin dominance is rising, so that's gonna kill alts even more. But another thing that Twin World said is many say that farm tokens go to zero in time. That's true, but DeFi's not. Its main function is not going to be farming. Its main function is cross-chain swapping. And the list of what they're going to have cross-chain swapping the other day, it just came out. They're going to do Binance Chain, Avalanche, like 10 different chains. You're going to be able to swap one coin from one chain all the way to another. Think about that. I mean, everyone right now is having to switch over to Binance Chain to do this, and then you have to switch. If you can't get it, you have to go to Solana. Imagine your one-stop shop. At least the start of it. That's DeFi.
Theta is doing that with NFTs.
Right.
They want to be able to swing the NFTs from any chain. And
if anyone knows Thorchain too, Rune, that's one of the kind of the originals of like cross-chain aggregation. And just you want to see what cross-chain does when it actually implements, mainnet comes out. Look at the price of what Rune has done. I mean, it was under a penny, and now it's $10 or something. And that was in the last year.
So in these turbulent times, when I was just reviewing the video, I think the other day, we were going down and we were looking at the pairings of, Matic to whatever we paired it with. I don't remember what we paired it with. But we went and we discussed a pairing of stable coins of US Tether and USDC. In these turbulent times with the pairings for the farming, is a safe bet, or does it matter that you pair stable and stable, or stable and coin, or coin and coin?
Good question. I mean, because that's when then that was my issue with impermanent loss. So if you're in a coin that is just let's say you paired up a stable with say DeFi, and DeFi's been dropping, you will end up, if you pull that out, you will have more DeFi than you will the stable. That's why I tell people get in a coin. Like if you're going to do that kind of pairings, make sure that you're really high on that coin, because you're going to end up with more of it in this times. And the ironic part though is if it was going up really high, let's say DeFi was going up fast, you'd end up with less DeFi and more stable currencies. So if you're in a bear market and you don't mind accumulating a little more DeFi and losing a little bit of USDC, then definitely do that. But in a bull market, if you don't want to lose that DeFi as it, the trajectory goes up, you're going to not want to pair it in that. That's why, like right now, I'm high on both Root and DeFi. Right now at 300% APY, dual farm. So I'm in a Root DeFi farm, and you get both. You acquire both. And to be honest, I don't care if I get screwed on one side or the other, because I'm high on both of them. So I'll take both. But I mean, in the last 20 days, I've acquired over, I don't want to throw out exactly what but I've acquired over $1,200 worth of DeFi in 20 days. And I'm not a lot of money either. Like, that's not a ton of money that I put into it. Like, I'm not going to say exactly because I'm trying to, like, be careful on what I say. But, yeah, like, you can, for me, I've made 600 DeFi in 20 days. At $2 a price still, I still think that's better than me going out of the market and sweating and being, oh my God, should I get back in? Should I not? And going in and out. I feel very comfortable with a 50% roughly stables, 50% in the game right now. And I may get a little out more, but as for that, I feel pretty good. And yeah, I've gone down into my 50% portfolio, but we're in crypto.
So when you're pairing a coin, so a stable and a coin together, which is 50-50, right? By doing a stable and a Matic or a root, for example, at least you're hedging it, right? You're hedging the market.
Right, exactly. I mean, you're still technically, even if you lose a little bit of the USDC, you're still got some fresh powder if you want to buy something. And you're not going to get totally, hardcore. Like I just experienced the hardest liquidation because the coin that I was in was 6.6 cents when I got it in. And it literally, we talk about getting hit in the last few days. It went to a penny. But luckily I was only in it a little bit along with the USDC pairing. And I was earning 1,200% APY. So I still made enough back that, I only lost 50% total of what I put in. It could have been a lot worse buying something and going down, 80% in 6 days.
Yeah.
But, I agree with Kai. Like, that's the way I look at this. Like, I think DeFi is going to be an absolute monster in probably 4 months. So, I mean, I just earned 600 DeFi. Like, that's a lot better than losing, 30-40% that I have on DeFi's spot price right now.
I'm not a part of it yet, but what's liquidity like then? If you're earning, say, $1,200 in DeFi token, I'm getting on there. I'm just waiting on a license thing for verification. I'm not knocking this. Trust me, guys, on my channel, I'm going to be getting on there. What's liquidity like, though, for you? Like, if I failed and wanted to cash everything out, yeah.
Yeah, well, you can, the better with decentralized exchanges, you can get away with not losing as much if you wanted to sell a big chunk if there's locked liquidity. And you can keep an eye on that. So if you see the liquidity dropping, that's another good thing with decentralized exchanges. You can watch the liquidity in a coin. And if it starts dropping, then by all means get out, because if you sell a big chunk with less liquidity, you're going to be taking a hit off the cut.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know if I answered that.
No. I think I don't know enough about DeFi to properly express my question, because you were, I think, going deeper into kind of what you were deeper into something I don't know about. I meant more like I'm earning 100%, 200% APY. Yep. And for the beginners out there who are debating DeFi or not, like if I'm earning my 200%, I think there's a contract length, right? Or am I wrong?
Like there's not. I was actually wrong on that. I had specified before. It's just the ticker, which is about to run out in 15 hours for anybody. So make sure that you get out and jump in the next farm. But that's just when you can claim your rewards and when that farm is over. Because DeFi has a cool thing. Most farms wear out over time. And they go down, and then they go down to pretty much zero, like Kyle said, or even the percentage goes down. But with DeFi, what they do is they only run it for like 30 days. They'll wait a bit, and then they'll reboot it at a super high APY again. So people who maybe forgot. So you have an opportunity to jump in for a few days and get 1,200, 1,400 APY. But what I think I know what you mean now. You can go in and out of those. The APY, though, won't stay the same. So obviously, one of the farms that I was in on DeFi was 1,400%. It's about 300 now, which is still pretty good. It held up for 30 days at 300, so that's pretty good. But yeah, you can go in and out anytime you want. You just don't get the rewards. So the ticker's all about you can claim after the 30 days is when you can claim your rewards. And then if you have a vested interest, you can only claim 25% at that moment. And then every 2 months, you can claim 25% after.
That's an interesting model.
Yeah, well, they do it so because most DeFi farms and most of these things, like QuickSwap, the one thing I don't like about QuickSwap is QuickSwap, you can take out your rewards the day of. So a whale who's got a ton of money in that, earns say like two quick a day, could just turn around and sell their quick at the end of the day, suppressing the price.
Yeah.
So this allows everything to spread out. So I think what DeFi's done is just for tokenomics model, for the farming model, everything, they clearly know what they're doing to keep the price, and that's why it probably hasn't been getting hammered as much. And people are obviously holding their DeFi, which is why the price hasn't dropped opposed to other coins as hard, because people would rather just ride it through in the farms, especially when you're still earning 300%, which has been solid for 30 days.
Yeah, when
holding their DeFi, which is why the price hasn't dropped opposed to other coins as hard.
Somebody's got the reverb going on here.
Ride it through in the farm.
Okay, and I'm just gonna, because this person's made a comment 4 or 5 times, Jeff. The only reason I made a comparison with Litecoin and Bitcoin is because blockchains are borderline the exact same. Yeah. Litecoin's got 4x of the coins printed. It's a marketing thing, and coming from sales, you've got to really learn to be a pro at BSing a BSer, honestly. So that's like, I mean, I like Litecoin, but Litecoin is 100th of the cost, really, if we're thinking about it, or whatever it is, right? Like, what you're mentioning right now is not my issue with Bitcoin. My issue with Bitcoin is too much adoption by these giant frigging whales. And again, look at how I watched my language now that I know we're live. So it's the whales that bother me with Bitcoin. So anyway, that's my issue with Bitcoin. I noted Parker Lewis. I saw your comment, Jeff. Thank you so much for trying to point that out to me. I am going to check out Parker Lewis to further understand it. I think I know what the selling feature is. It's just that Bitcoin hasn't sold me yet, and that's the thing. But thank you so much, Jeff. I know you wanted to get that point out there. There's a few comments.
A lot of people with some good. Everyone seems to be the crew in the chats are really learning. Jen, A-Fruit, I just checked it. It's like almost 400% still. The problem is the farm ends in like 14 hours. So you'd have to wait till the next farm and it'll be jacked up through the roof. But that would have been almost 400% for 30 days. So that would have been worth it, in my opinion. And then Twin World. Yeah, no, Twin World makes a good point. You can get in higher farms where you get more higher APY rewards. But don't forget, you also have an LP that's also earning like real fees that are solid on the LP. So I think Twin World's onto something, which is to get in, and I've been doing this within, I kind of find a medium, but you find a higher volume pairing, like he says with Matic E, and you get in that because you're earning guaranteed fees on the LP in Matic and E. So.
He says this is on DeFi, by the way.
Yeah, and the thing about DeFi, like, I could like I said, I did mention Impermax, and actually, Wex Poly was the other coin that I was in that dropped from 6 cents to a penny. It's pretty solid, and I feel comfortable saying that. It's got really high APYs too, but like, I feel just knowing DeFi's team and everything. Like I said, 10 months ago, any farm you got in was a degen farm. Like, you literally didn't know if your money was going to be there the next day. And now we've already evolved to like really high APYs on pretty reasonable, they could still run right now. I'm not saying that they're perfect, but like team vetted sites and stuff. So it's kind of ironic how we went from like thinking back in the day, like 10 months ago, 300% APY farms were considered absolute degenerate, like watch out, could be a scam. Now it's like, it's everywhere because the tokenomics models have changed.
Okay, Candace just mentioned something, and I actually had a question for everybody here, all 5 of us, 6 of us. She said, well, sorry, guys. Well, anyway, sorry. She was saying Polkadot and Cardano are her highest shares of Bitcoin, not far behind. ETH XRP bringing up the rare. Okay, sweet. Now, I got a question for all of you guys. Obviously, as times shift into volatility, as opposed to kind of where they were, which was a constant just ride up, it was awesome. But now in volatility, forgetting Bitcoin, forgetting ETH, do you have blue chips that you think are blue? I'm not saying they're blue chips. I'm saying you think are blue chips with respect to this space. Let's go with Ken. Again, sorry, guys. I had this question. Let me just rock with this. Ken, you go with it. But what are your blue chips, man? Because
Theta for sure.
Okay.
Just because of what they're doing with the video gaming, and they've got a solid project. So what I've been reading is it's like worth like $8 a coin right now, I think, and actually it should be worth 80 with exactly what their network can do and what they're gonna do. My other blue chip, you guys aren't gonna like this, is Shiba. Shiba is
that a
gonna
blue
be
chip?
a blue chip. No, it's
Wow.
gonna be once Shiba Swap comes out, it's gonna be phenomenal.
You know what? He's
my
probably
It
going to.
really is, man.
You watch. This is one of the coins that is probably going to come and haunt us all.
You know what?
no,
Tim's gonna come back with a crown on his head, being like,
He is.
And yeah, I know it's
You're
exactly
going to
what's
see.
going on.
You're going to see a cufflink come across with a plate and a glass of ice water. That's how much money he's going to have, having served his ice water on the video.
No,
We're gonna
I'm
see
so serious.
Jeeves hand him a beer next video because of his Shiba holdings, man.
Well,
Guaranteed.
see, what they want to do is when they release Shiba Swap, you're gonna be able to stake your Sheeb for Sheebs. You can also do the liquidity pools and all that kind of stuff. And their rewards, when they come out, you only get 33% of your rewards. 66% stays locked up for 6 months, which everybody's going to keep everything locked up, which means the price will go up because everybody will be locked up.
You know what's funny? I use the term blue chip to try to encourage you to find something but Sheeb. And then you mentioned Sheeb, but I guess that's your blue chip.
It's gonna go. But blue chip, I'd say Theta for sure.
Okay,
Theta
cool.
is definitely, that would be my blue chip.
Theta is definitely a blue chip. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not even knocking SHIB. I think we have to establish what's our definition of a blue chip.
That's what I was trying. Yeah.
Well, that's my going to be a blue chip.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Then,
I answered the wrong question. Sorry.
All right, you're allowed to say could be possibly a blue chip. Yeah, because a blue chip to me is something that's been around for the last couple of years, has like been through the thick and thin, has a working product, and like established with a lot of partners. And Theta is the monster NFT, definite blue chip, like easily, yeah. And obviously I could go Aave, Rune.
Are you still big on Ravencoin?
Yes, I wouldn't call it a blue chip yet though, and I wouldn't call Rude or Define or any of those blue chips, you know. But no, Ravencoin is, and it's going to be hard for Ravencoin to be dethroned from what is my actual favorite in my heart coin. But I'm here to make money, so and you know there might be a time. Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't know why people argue so much about like everything. Like everyone can. There's only one person that actually Haas, I believe, is in it for the tech. But like everybody else, we're here to make money. So like, it's fun to debate sometimes. But like the whole debate, like whether Bitcoin's a Ponzi or anything, I always just treat it like it's a Ponzi because I'm here to make money. You know, it's less of a Ponzi than Fiat. It's less of a Ponzi than this. But if it's been around
we'll get
long
you
enough.
in 1 second. But Tim, do you swing trade then? Like, are you a big swing?
I would consider myself a swing trader at heart.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely not like day trading or anything. I'd get murdered.
It's different. Day trading and swing trading is totally different.
Yeah, swing trading is much easier, and it's easy to, you know, because I guess, you know, because technically I guess you're considered shorting when you're sitting in tether. So yeah, I've been swing trading for sure.
And Neil,
my blue chip right now is USDC.
okay, okay. I see it
Because I've lost enough money. So what my big plan right now is I'm going to unstake everything for my coins, and I'm probably going to follow Tim and do Define and Root, and then I'm going to do one of the stable coin pairings. And I'm just going to do that until things kind of settle down. But, you know, Kusama was my blue chip. It's kind of been, you know, cut out at the knees, but I'm holding it. I really like it. I've still got my DOT, and then I've got Root, Matic, and Define. So that's kind of what I'm at. I'd say Kusama is my pick for blue chip, but
yeah, Kusama's an amazing coin, but it along with Aave and a lot of these like lending type things and stuff, they're getting absolutely destroyed by the percentages lately. Like Kusama last week or whenever I was last on, we were just all going nuts because it was like heading for all-time highs again. And then it just absolutely got murdered. And yet small caps for some reason have actually been doing a little better on holding price. But everything's been ugly. Like I'm generally optimistic, but this has been ugly.
I'm resisting buying more Kusama because my wife doesn't want me to, but that's why I'm working so much and so tired.
Well, do what Tim's doing, man. Put a stablecoin position out there, dude.
Well,
Like, have
I'm
a
just
cash
waiting for
position,
things
have
to
some buying
unlock,
power.
right? Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of going to be my position as I'm going to just continue on DeFi. I was freaking out earlier though, being like, "Why can't I get my rewards? Why?" And it's like, oh, it's not done. The other one I could get it, and that's why I claimed it first. And I was like, "What's going on?" But now I'm just, I'm a little bit happier than I was earlier.
Yeah, we'll figure it out anyways. But yeah, I don't know. I'm giving, because most of these macro, like if this is a macro bear trend, then we got maybe about 2 more 3 weeks that if nothing turns around, then I'm going to concede to a bear market. Maybe
We haven't even seen an increase in inflation rates in both America and Canada yet.
I know.
To think that this bear trend's even started.
I know.
Like, this is, for instance, this is like you're eating a steak in the middle of a national forest, and there's a bear 100 yards away. That's where I feel like we're at right now. There we go, bear hugs. Except I don't want that beer hugs.
No, this is it's a little bit of
beer hug. No, but I feel like this is literally I'm a big fan of shakeouts because I'd rather diamond handers and paper handers every time. Also, I prefer long term. That's just my mentality. But this hasn't even freaking started. We don't even have an interest rate increase in America yet, let alone Canada. Forget Canada. But we don't even have an interest rate increase yet. It's coming. And then, not to mention, something nobody's talking about on YouTube. And I'm not trying to. Okay. Remember the last time we had that pullback? Okay. It was a couple of weeks, a month and a half ago, whatever. We saw that Tether volume hit numbers that were like ridiculous. It was like 290 billion, over 300 billion at one point, right? Tether volume hasn't even come close. And Tether's the biggest stablecoin, okay, for market cap. Tether volume hasn't even come close. Right now, at say 230 billion, that's $60 billion. Some of these people who succumbed to FUD didn't just stablecoin it, they're friggin' gone. They're gone. Just like the stock market, they're dead, okay? They're dead for life. Forget about them. They're out of the market. It's over. But at the end of the day, no, really, because the investors have left. There's just not as much. I mean, they're not just swapping from Bitcoin to Tether. They're swapping from Bitcoin to Tether and getting the F out. So they're gone. So it's a totally different scenario right now.
I mean, put it this way. About a year ago, the total crypto market cap was like 250 billion. In the last month, we've lost about 1.2 to 1.3 trillion in 1 month. 1 month. So that there's shadiness going on. And obviously the hash rate, you see something happening. Transactions, obviously that's going down, all this stuff. Something weird is happening. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe in manipulation up as well as down. So I always find it funny how all of a sudden when everything's going down, I was like, we're being manipulated. Yeah, well, you got manipulated on the way up too, guys. Like, let's and I know Neil has said stuff to me and it's stuff that I used to say as a newbie too. And especially when I'm an optimistic guy, but markets have no concern for whether you're optimistic or pessimistic. You got to ride the wave, man. You got to be logical. Like
it's the safest way to do it.
Yeah, you can go up. You can, it's like I told Neil the other day. I'm like, Neil, I remember in 2018 when like it had been a year of straight red, and I'm like, 2019's our year, and we did a whole nother year, and we just kept going red. So like, just when you think, and you got to follow the markers. If you follow the markers now, you'll be a lot better off. And therefore, that's why, Neil's now in USDC and stuff like this. And even me, like I said, I'm willing to lose a little bit because I don't want to be fully out of the game. Because the truth is, I don't have a clue what could really. We could do a giant green mountain up the other way tomorrow for all I know. But you got to be careful, and you got to learn sometimes that it's not worth to ride it out and lose it all at the same time. But
So,
Anthony Pompliano, in the end of his newsletter today said, it's better to train yourself to deal with volatility today. Get used to not succumbing to emotion, including both fear and greed. It will only get harder over time as the numbers get bigger. Kathy Wood is an experienced pro. See her add to her exposure in various ways yesterday is a great example of rational, unemotional analysis prevailing over hysteria and uncertainty. Investing can be hard as you make it. Don't be your own worst enemy.
Yeah. I have a good meme somewhere, like a chart thing that shows like if you're feeling these, what you should do. And it was really good for me in learning, because I played stocks for like 15 years before I got into crypto. And crypto was a whole different ballgame because of the swings, right? Because in stocks,
you can make a stupid amount of money swinging on crypto. Like if you can truly establish your retracements, OMG, it's ridiculous.
Well,
also, can I just say this? I have my stupid little other Chromebook laptop here. I was looking up Nancy, and I think if it was ARK Invest you were talking about, she did a rebalance. So just keep that in mind for anyone who's listening. These people who buy Bitcoin at certain points, sell Bitcoin at certain points, look at the Bitcoin price, because if their board of directors has dictated a 7% holding, it'll be 7% regardless of price. So that's the rebalance, and that's not necessarily a bullish move to rebalance in that scenario. I also did want to correct that I was reading the Ethereum market cap and that Tether was actually closer to a 63 billion, but the volume for Tether is down 200 billion-ish compared to a 2-week period last time. I'm just reading right now. So that's what kind of made me think that they were pulling out. Anyway, just wanted to have a correction on that so I didn't mislead anybody. I was reading the wrong stat, but there's been a massive pull out of the market. But anyway, just wanted to correct myself.
Mark to pull out, everybody.
Oh, man.
No, but as in not just.
You want to pull out just before it's too late.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I've been buying in.
Would you look at the time?
Well,
You didn't think it was getting banned before.
I was just going to cover a couple people.
Go ahead.
Moonbright, Zilliqa. I like Zilliqa. I think the narrative is kind of dying on sharding and stuff, but I'm sure it'll definitely accumulate in price. H bar and Journey, obviously, no denying that he thinks that's a blue chip. I would honestly say if you're just looking for the best distributed ledger, which obviously is the backbone of crypto and stuff like that, look no further than an H bar for sure.
H bar.
Header a hash graph.
Yeah, Journey's been promoting that since the day he was born.
I mean, it's header a hash graph isn't even technically, it's fused kind of blockchain. It's like its own. There was a time in the last couple of years where everyone was worried that where Hashgraph was going to actually take over blockchain, but the guys, when they patented their stuff and weren't going to give it out, so there you have HBAR. But I mean, they've got like 50,000, 500,000 TPS per, way above any blockchain or any crypto coin. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why when people mention to me about VeChain, it's like, why VeChain when you can do HBAR? So,
yeah. Well,
one beer too, guys. Relax.
Dave wanted to know if there was a book that anybody could recommend for learning crypto.
I've never read a book on crypto, to be honest.
Nope.
You always kind of just go and you learn through community with Twitter and reading and doing research. Ken talked about just making sure you're always piped into a community. There's lots of books. We bought a whole bunch, and you know what? They were okay, but because crypto moves so fast, you're kind of it kind of becomes redundant a little bit very quickly.
Yeah, that's like step one, and then step two is what you can learn in the different communities. So you can just skip step one and just go right to step two, and there you go.
Yeah, I feel it reminds me of what Nancy and Tim told me one day of how they, and obviously I guess I can't tell the full story, but how they had someone that they know had a crypto specialist come into their place of work to talk about crypto, and apparently they didn't even know what DeFi or anything was.
No, didn't know any of the things. The crypto specialist that they'd hired didn't know. I was like,
So
we collectively here know way more than the crypto specialists that they had hired.
right, and that's because we actually are online in the community. That guy probably just read his books, you know, and that's how I probably feel about. Because, like I said, like 2 days ago, I'm like stewing about this impermanent loss, and there's got to be an answer for this. And sure enough, I go poking around, and 2 hours later, I get brought Impermax. And now I have something that solves impermanent loss, and possibly also where I can now leverage liquidity tokens. So I can now still earn my LP on stable, a stable LP. So I'm still making money, passive income on my LPs, and get a loan so I can take that money out and do something with it. And it's going to be very hard, I feel like, to get liquidated on a stable currency. So just don't do the 50x. Do stick within like a 3x is my advice if you're going to do it. But like, it just, another thing I just learned that amazed me that a book cannot keep up with that. By the time they finish reading the book, it's almost prehistoric.
Yeah, that's why you need communities. And I know for Dave, we've got not just this community, but if you want to go and just dive deep into Bitcoin, you got the Canadian Bitcoiners. If you want to just learn stock and a little bit more crypto conversation, you got Rise channel. You've got this where we really go deep into some areas and we talk about crypto in a different kind of way. You got Hawes's channel, Haas Hodls, where he does, you know, he's got technical analysis. You're better to find community and group support and live chats, and be very careful with who you watch. Like I think everybody on this channel, we all fell down the rabbit hole of a few big names that we don't really talk about out loud that aren't that great, but we all have people we do love to watch. And
also, right before I came on, I was trying to troubleshoot my problem with DeFi. I thought I was with a legit admin after I stopped talking to someone who reached out. And after I just said, you know, all right, no worries, because they kept pushing this wallet to me. And I'm like, this is so weird. Deleted on Telegram. So, like, I actually thought I was working with an admin after I said I was, like, someone else reached out, and then it was gone. So be careful, because, like, it was. I thought they were legit, but I was like, okay, this is not legit. Like, they wouldn't be pushing me off.
It is well known in Telegram.
Yeah.
No admin or developer will private message you.
No.
It will not happen.
Yeah.
So anytime, and you'll get added to new groups, don't fall for it if it sounds good or anything. You literally, anytime I go in, and that is where I've learned most of my stuff, to be honest. I always go straight to the source. I always go into Telegram. I ask to talk to a developer or whoever's the admin, and it will tell you the title. It'll show you that they're admin and everything. And I will ask questions about their product and everything instead, so I can get past FUD. Not that they might not still try to hide that, but always.
Yeah, so be careful. Yeah.
Never ever. I mean, Telegram is the wild, wild west, even more so than But I mean, to this day, I'm still shocked that people are falling for Elon Musk. Send him an ETH and he'll send you 5 back. Like, come on.
Kevin just said that down in the chat.
Yeah, Kevin said if I send 1, I get 5 back. Yeah, that's crazy. Shivam, I just wanted to say it real quick. Tim Perry Tim Perry doesn't have his own YouTube channel. This is pretty much the only place that you want to get advice from Tim Perry. This is pretty much the only place you can do that. And so we're lucky to have him and Neil and Ken on. Obviously, we're lucky to have Ryan and his community, who we get to spend some time with on Sunday nights for the crypto show about nothing and about everything. And we even ate watermelon with mustard on Sunday, and it was super delicious. And it was fine.
No. Oh. No. Yes, she made me eat watermelon, Tim, with 4 different mustards.
What?
Yeah.
Tim, she said it was a milestones thing.
No.
Yes, we used to try things, and you know it too. You know what I'm talking about.
I had trouble with the strawberries on our Cali salad, for crying out loud.
I know.
Fruit doesn't belong on salad unless it's fruit salad.
Genster. I just want to make sure so she doesn't make any mistakes because she's kind of asking some questions. Jenster wants to know, is it better buy ETH from for defund? Is it better buy ETH from say like Binance and transfer to my wallet? Jenster, Tim is going to be putting out a video soon that I recommend you wait
Tomorrow.
for. And that'll tell you how to get on the DeFi network the best. You cannot access the Matic chain through Binance. Only AscendX is your centralized exchange that can get you there. And you also must configure your MetaMask first. And we teach that on this tutorial that Tim will put out. But just be careful with all that because I don't know. I was talking to, I don't know if Rohit's in here tonight, but obviously I've been chatting with a lot of people now on Twitter. But Rohit, poor guy, sent, luckily it wasn't a lot, but he sent through Binance and it was the wrong chain. It wasn't the right chain. So it just disappeared. Now, eventually, maybe when Binance configures to the Matic, but I feel like they're going to delay it because they don't want that competition. But when they eventually have to concede to it, maybe it'll show up because it's maybe out there. I don't know how that works. But yeah, no. And luckily, it really wasn't a lot because obviously I was like, oh, no, bro. And he's like, no, it was just a test amount. But he'll just be, there he is.
Where does that? So, Ryan, where does that money go? Does the exchange people themselves, are they able to retrieve that and it's just like found money?
They sometimes can because I know similar things have like sometimes it's happened. Rohit, explain what you did exactly because I don't know if I just butchered your story. But no, like you can report it and they'll try to do their best. But generally it has to be that they have to have access to that network, at least from what I know. So if they're not configured to Matic yet, they can't do anything to help you. But if they had sent, say, on the regular Binance chain and they sent it through the Binance, the decentralized Binance chain, because there's two things, maybe they can. Right, they did it through ETH network. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, well, you know what? And Kevin's saying Binance charges to try to retrieve funds.
Oh, I didn't know that.
This, you know what? All of this stuff will clear itself up. A year from now, we're going to be saying, do you remember when this used to happen?
Yeah.
Like it's just all going to be gone because they're going to have figured it all out as they get more and more and more adoption. Anyways, I just wanted to really think we should wrap it up. We've been going quite a while. Thank you for all those who've stuck with us through the wild crypto conversation this evening. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Tim Perry. Thank you, Neil. I know he had to run. He has an early morning. Ryan, thank you as always for the fun conversation, and we will chat with you on Sunday night and at the HiRye channel, and we will we'll see everybody in a few days. Have a good night. Bye.